I think it's making us, AI is making us more human in a lot of ways. So the way I look at it is, I mean, I use it to help me articulate my own thoughts in a meaningful way. So how do I make it work for me? What are my real values? And so it's just even things that I started to do to market my own business. So
Can we change it so that makes sense?
yeah,
And it allows me to pick at the little pieces without needing to understand every single sentence I'm going to write in the code.
they managed to get one of the banks here to finance their particular build process, which is built in a factory. It's built much faster and therefore a better price. Yeah, and they're doing the 3D printing of houses as well, but only a few little experimental kind of ones. It seems like it's fairly early days for us. So I think trying to predict where's the puck moving to. You guys do ice hockey there, is it? Do you? Yeah.
So Wes, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So thanks, Cody, to meet this morning. So yeah, Wes from Uplift 360. So you're here in Geelong, which is a small town just outside of Geelong. It's been outside of Melbourne. It's been quite cold lately. So just had a nice warm shower. So you can still see a little bit of sweat on my forehead from the hot shower. And I'm ready to talk about whatever you want to. It's fun times in the world with AI and transformation. And it's certainly had a big impact on my business doing websites and SEO.
I did want to get into, there was one question I had. You carved out a specific niche for web design and construction and trades. What sparked your laser focus?
It was a little bit by accident. So like most of us starting out a business, you just take any work you can get, any client you just say yes to and take it as you go. But I, over the years, discovered that all my best clients kind of looked the same, sounded the same. They were in similar industries. And it turns out they're all in construction related businesses for the most part. So yeah, I just thought, well, everyone says to niche, but to niche or niche depends on which part of the world you're in. We say niche here. So it felt like a scary decision to make, to niche in and be really specific on the type of client we would work with. But it was the best decision I ever made. There's always fear that comes in when you feel like you're cutting out a big potential to work with a whole bunch of other people. Still occasionally we'll do some other things for other clients, but that's on a referral basis and it has to be a really interesting job. But for the most part, we're doing things, websites and search engine optimization or search everywhere optimization, as we're calling it now, just to get people's websites showing up and to get the business flowing through for those construction. Here in Australia, so here I mentioned we're in Geelong, just outside of Melbourne, but all of Australia had a real boom time with construction. So everyone was doing fantastically well for a long period of time. So they didn't really need to market. They could let things slide. And some websites were looking pretty horrific because they didn't need to market. They were, people beating down their doors to do work. But now things have changed. So they have to fight a little harder to get the work flowing through to the same level in which they had prior to the downturn, I would say. So it's been interesting times for the niche I'm working in. So yeah.
Does the downtime come from, because I remember construction being a very big thing and you not really know, you knew who your local construction company was, and now you don't really see that. Why is that?
I suppose they all kind of specialize. It depends on what kind of construction it is. So some are B2B, some are building materials that we're working with.
They all just kind of went in and specialized themselves.
Yeah, I think so. It's the smart play if you can do it in a smaller town. So you might be a bit more generalized because you specialize more so in the geographic region you're serving, because obviously it's a job you need to do on site. So you can't cover all of Australia, for example. You've got to limit, well, if you've got branches everywhere, of course, but most companies will have just their region that they can serve. So not like you and I who can go digital and work from anywhere really. So that's the beauty for me. I was in Melbourne for many years working, and back then meetings were face to face. So it was kind of important to be in a bigger city. It was just better. But now everything's Zoom. So, I mean, I was off in Lord Howe Island, which is an island off the coast of Australia, really small, barely any internet, but I had internet where we had accommodation and I could work, and no one even knew I was not here. But my clientele, that's not the case for them. They've got to be on the ground, boots on the ground sort of businesses. So yeah, it's different.
I really think that people like us should start migrating to like middle of nowhere because unless you really like the city, it really there's no point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So Geelong, I'm not 100% sure the population. I would say it'd be 50,000, maybe 300,000, not sure, something around that mark. But a beautiful, beautiful region. So we're on a peninsula, so we've got beautiful coast. And just the lifestyle. I think setting up your business around a lifestyle is really important for me. So it's not just about pumping out as much money as I can. I went into my own business to see what life I wanted to live and to get the creative benefits. I enjoy creating, designing. I studied graphic design, multimedia, like marketing, all those things. I'm doing what I love, but I don't want to be just working all day. I want to have a life outside of business. And I think since COVID, that's been something that everyone has kind of focused on more. So building a life rather than just building a career, I think is the key.
Well, it also I would say morally makes more sense, right? Because now you're not chasing the dream everybody else seems to think that it is. Like, being rich and famous, that's the dream. You're just chasing what you want. And people think that they want the fame and fortune. It's really, you just want your time. You just want to be able to sit down and think about what you want to do next and then go do it. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping with AI, we get more to that way because I think people will hate less that way.
Yeah. Well, I think AI is making us more human in a lot of ways. So the way I look at it is, I mean, I use it to help me articulate my own thoughts in a meaningful way. So oftentimes I'll be driving around and have a thought bubble bump into my head and something I want to action later. So just start talking to ChatGPT while I'm driving, obviously hands free. But then by the time I get back to the office or whatever I'm doing, I've got it all there to dig into. It's distilled down by then because I've had a conversation. It's almost at my therapist, it could be about business, be about anything really, but to distill down my thoughts so that it's ready for when I want to take action on it. If in fact that's what it needs to be. Sometimes it's just a brainstorming tool. So I'm ready for it, whatever it is that I'm doing next. So been really good.
Very,
It's been, so 3 years ago, I had a sort of a big, I had separation divorce, and that was a real wake up call and a mind reset as well of actually, what am I going to do with my life? Through that process, I had to get a business valuation because everything, as you can understand, it's valued and divvied up and all those sorts of things. But the business value, so it must have been 2.5 years ago when we got the business valuation done. And he kind of put it as a low value, which was kind of helpful for what I was trying to achieve. But he put it down to just the threats of AI and outsourcing and the vulnerabilities in our industry. So it was great that I had to go through that process. If he dug really deep into my business and these threats, and I thought, well, how do I flip this script? How do I push harder into AI? How do I make it work for me? What are my real values? And so it's just even things that I started to do to market my own business. So set up a little networking event here for business people at the local wine bar, which is just downstairs for me, and it's kind of handy, but just to connect with real people. So I went into like the AI driven, the tech, went really hard into that, and that made me more human. And then I made sure I engaged with other business people. I think you're in a small town too, so it's good to have a little bit of a community I've got great friends who run really great businesses, and they're really, in my view, more advanced than me in a lot of things. So I think it's powerful to have friends that are a level up from you in business. So that all those sorts of things, connecting with people and all that sort of stuff. It was a real reset. So I made sure I built friendships and relationships in a business context, but friends, just regular friends as well. After the divorce and separation, I needed them, but I also became the direction of my life, and a reset and a refocus into being human. And businesses since doing AI, I've just had my best financial year ever. We report financial years in June. I don't know how it is for you. So just June 30 wrapped up. And yeah, best financial year ever, which is great. So that business value, he got that viciously wrong.
It's impressive that where we were 3 years ago to where we are now, like you wouldn't even recognize the AI advancement back then. Like if we had this AI back then, everybody would have already assumed that we already had AGI, super intelligence. Like 3 years, and we're at the point where you can talk to it daily, you can feed it all the information, and it helps you immensely. It's you. You kind of echoed what I went through with the same thing, just kind of like, holy crap, I can leverage this.
Yeah. Yeah. And things changing. Change is always an opportunity. So especially in our industry, because, people are doing SEO for search engine optimization. Now we're calling it, well, there's so many acronyms and things floating around, but the way I'm going with search everywhere optimization, because then the SEO is still true, and I'm still selling the same service, but it really is kind of the same. And it was the direction we were always taking in terms of just building a quality website with the messaging that's uniquely yours, and to attract your ideal client, and focus on purely quality over tricky little things that we used to try and do in SEO land. All those things were kind of getting phased out before AI sort of took the stronghold that it has now. But the writing was on the wall. Dodgy backlinks and, dodgy things that people, hidden text. And sometimes people still contact me and say, hey, I heard you can do this, whatever trick is, and it might have been from 10 years ago. You can't really get away with that stuff anymore. You've just got to produce quality website, built fast, to load fast. Everything's in the right places for conversion optimization, and build it right, and get your message out there. So you're really focused on a clear message. Been really powerful. Even with my own, like, I know for myself, you get writer's block, or it's so much easier now to produce quality content. It's still my own thoughts. And I mean, you can just punch stuff out of ChatGPT really fast, and people do, but it's that extra piece that you're adding that's uniquely you, that no one else can add. So it might be your case studies or stories, examples. I think even things yeah, go on.
I even want to mention, like, even your review, like, even when you sit there and you review it, and you're like, I don't like these words. I don't like how this, and then you go and change. Those are uniquely you.
Yeah.
It's not just the AI doing.
Yeah, 100%. We just get stuck on the words, and so, I mean, if you did do first, they used to call it a first terrible draft whenever you write. So I wrote a book, and they used to talk about a first terrible draft. And the idea was just to get something down roughly where you want to take it, and you can fix it later. Well, that first terrible draft can be often done with ChatGPT now. So, and it's not necessarily terrible. It's a lot better, but it gives you the framework to go, okay, well, this is, because if you lean on it too much, it just becomes the sum total of what everyone else has said. But really, it's that 10-20% that's only you is the interesting things, really. So I've got a client. We were kind of stuck on how to produce. We do a lot of the content from an SEO standpoint for clients. Really stuck to get it out of his head. So he ended up just videoing projects he was working on, and he's a pretty, I guess, rough sort of Aussie bloke, lots of swearing. He does the videos of what he's doing, swearing and so on. But, and he publishes them on YouTube. It's fine for his industry of what he's doing. But to take that, and then to be able to take the transcript, and then to convert that to an article, and to have it in his voice and his style, without the swearing, but in that kind of tone, and even the way you structure up the content so it matches him, really direct and precise, and his values are really self-evident in the way he talks. So to get that voice in his content, which I don't know if we would have ever gathered it just by trying to glean it from him. It would have taken a long time, but these videos, they're so magic, and you can see exactly what he's doing and what he's thinking, and the irritation he's got of it, setting something that's not fitting into, bringing something in by truck into the backyard of something, and getting frustrated about the, difficulties and all that kind of stuff. It's so good to be able to use the tools to distill down that kind of person into messaging on a website.
That was one of my biggest problems growing up was I'm a great conversationalist. Like I can have a conversation. You throw text at me and it's like, I have to read it. If it's too long, I can't sit there and actually do it. But it's like people have different mediums for being able to express themselves and being able to, AI's really helped to boil those down into every other medium for everybody. That's the kind of way I'm seeing it because I can just have a conversation and then it transcribe it and then be like, okay, can you send this in an email and structure it this way so that people understand what it's, people are so scared of this thing. And I'm like, it's so much human that it's hard to like remember that it's AI sometimes. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when you might get a lengthy email from a client, which can be sometimes fairly scattered in thoughts and even feel a little bit conflicted in some areas, but the tools just break it down and put it, into bite-sized chunks so you can kind of grasp what they're saying and and the few questions you need to ask to make sure you're on the right path. I mean, I don't know, have you experimented with any of those email AIs that just
I refuse to. I'm going back to my tech days, and it's like I'm so scared of hooking up my context to everything more than anything else because I used to do a lot of shady shit. I do not need that connected to an AI that's owned by somebody else right now. Not to say like, hey, like I went out there and stole money and stuff, but like I don't need that out there in the world. You know what I mean? Like I'm 30 years old. The internet is almost as old as me, and I've been doing stuff for as long as that. And it's like I don't need any of that out on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So that's the kind of the thing, like they looked really good to some of the email. So it'll get your emails and do the drafts and all that kind of stuff. I was just worried because a lot of people send passwords and things. I tell them not to, but they're sending all sorts of stuff that I want to know that that's as secure as it possibly can from my side, even though they're flicking things around that they shouldn't be. Those sorts of things. You got to be a little bit careful of security and all that sort of stuff with who's getting what. So.
The way I kind of do it is now if I want something, I just build it.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
It's really strange because all these software are coming out here. It's like, this is great for regular people, but I know you're taking my data and I can build the exact same thing that you have right here, 30 seconds or in an hour with my AI. So why wouldn't I?
Yeah, right.
That kind of ability is really nice.
Yeah, it's the way. And those things are just going to get more and more sophisticated. I mean, it really is. It's natural. It's your normal language that we get to use and things that you have to use as sort of techie speak previously. It's phenomenal. I think you're into a bit of vibe coding. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've been a software developer for over a decade and now I'm pure vibe coding everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how fast that stuff is moving. Was it a big, I don't know, interview you, maybe I'm interviewing you, but was it a big kind of transition for you or a big decision to move away from the skill set you were using for so many years?
No. So I loved coding, like I really did, but I wasn't great at it. Like, like I was decent. I could build an application, but I felt like I was hitting a bar, right? Like it couldn't really get any higher. It was harder for me to like do complex tasks, essentially, like building them out, actually figuring out how to design them, code them, make them work, that whole thing. When I started the podcast, I didn't think I would be vibe coding at all, but I still love developing. I still love building things. So now I'm doing it. I decided to try the vibe coding websites, and it's just, I now feel, or I now can do things I always thought couldn't. Um,
Yeah.
I can develop in the way, because I always understood the concepts, how to break things down to individual pieces, how to ask the questions you need to know the information. I knew all of the steps. It's just actually applying them. And vibe coding allows me to just say, hey, like, this isn't right. Can we change it so that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
And it allows me to pick at the little pieces without needing to understand every single sentence I'm going to write in the code.
Yeah. It just gets you to MVP quicker. So someone can, whoever you're working for, they can see the thing, so much.
My default right now is I'm searching for websites that need updating, and I'm just sending them mockups every day.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Great way to get the leads flowing through, or giving them something that they can sort of understand. They can see it. Yeah, it's phenomenal, really. It's the amount of hours it would have taken to do that the old school way, it just wouldn't have been viable. But
I'm interested to see where the divide comes, though, because I know a lot of people still are like, vibe coders aren't real coders. And I'm like, I've been a coder for a decade. You can't call me a not real coder if I'm vibe coding 100% now, because to me, this is the way it should be.
yeah. A friend of mine, he was, I'm not sure what he was doing, some sort of IT. So he's quite technical, not a programmer, but I'm not sure, but he got a job running a mental health clinic. And so he built out their whole system that runs their clientele and the bookings and the whole thing himself. He said he only took a couple of hours really to build it out. He could have bought the off the shelf, what everyone else had, but it wasn't the perfect fit. And by building it himself, it's the perfect fit, and it was cheaper, and he can change it if he needs to. Amazing. So
That level of ability, I think people are just starting to understand. This is my main business concept right now. Like, I'm coming in and building you exactly what you need. None of this off the shelf crap. And half the time it's like half the price or even less, because it doesn't take a rocket science. Like, literally, if you teach somebody this, they can learn it and do it on a daily basis. It's like just seeing some text here. Let's get back to actually talking about you instead of AI. Tell us about your website payment concept. This seems interesting.
So it hasn't been as big a uptake as I thought it would have been. So it was kind of a process where we just structured it up. There was a few people selling subscription-based websites and all sorts of things. I didn't go down that path just because it's all custom. It's just simply just do the proposal like we ordinarily would, scope out the project and just divvy it up over a number of months. The only requirement in that instance is we need to host the website. So you can't just run away. We don't demand hosting is with us, probably 50-50 hosts with us, and others have relationships with different hosts. That's fine. But when it's that arrangement, that's the only little thing. So we don't mark up the price or anything like that. It's just it helps clients, particularly if it's a sort of a bigger job, if they're going to commit to search everywhere optimization as well. It's kind of can dovetail into that, because that's normally a monthly commitment as well. So work out how to.
I might steal that idea from you.
Go for it. It's been really good for a few clients.
Well, yeah, especially here, because we're a small town. I try to tailor it to their prices, their ability. A lot of people out here are very cheap, though.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses have been doing it the old way for so long that they don't want to fork out the money to update.
Yeah.
But I'm trying. I'm working on them.
How big is your town, would you say, population-wise?
3,500.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, pretty small. Yeah.
Thankfully, the island has about 500,000, and I span the world, so I don't really care. I've just been like, hey, I'm the weird Canadian, but I'll work anywhere. That's the next part.
Yeah. That's the beauty of what you do, and building the audience as you are. People like me now, when I share this through my platforms, a whole bunch of Aussies will be seeing you as well. So that's the thing.
It's It's funny. I've actually connected with more Aussies than anybody else in the world so far.
Really? Yeah.
It seems like Australia is really focused on building up business and entrepreneurship. And that's mainly where a lot of my guests have been coming from is Australia. It's really interesting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is interesting. I suppose there's a lot of similar things about the two nations. We're both, yeah,
Yeah, we both got fucked by Trump, ended up with governments we don't want, and there's
yeah,
of things that are happening.
yeah,
Sometimes I worry about the world and then I think about how I'm changing, trying to change it. Hopefully I can make a difference.
yeah,
But
yeah. I was going to be more diplomatic and say we're not America. I wasn't going to mention Trump, but go you. It's a polarizing world, and I mean that's the way partially just the way the internet is as well. So you kind of get into, social media, you get into one sort of thought bubble and they just keep pushing the same message to you. So it can influence the way you think eventually. So good to step outside. Yeah.
they are working towards changing the algorithms. I do have to give them that. I am happy because they are going more towards quality over
Yeah.
virality. And that is a good thing because you're going to start seeing a lot more original stuff come out. And
Yeah.
I keep on thinking of this. We have this 5 year, I want to give like a 5 year gap, but we have this 5 year gap where there's going to be so much hate and just general unpleasantness. But after those 5 years, I just see so much benefit and beauty on the other side. Just we have to get our heads out of our asses and start actually treating people like we do in real life. I worry the internet it's trickling into our real life and not the other way around, which is the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, the things that people might say behind a screen are completely different if they saw them, at the local coffee shop or whatever. Yeah, it's interesting. And just the impact of bigger nations that they have on the rest of us, where they didn't have much business in having an impact on us before, but it feels like, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like there's some underlying mechanism going on that's moving us this way. And I hate this. I hate this so much. Every time I hear like people talk about the world, it's just the UK and the US. It's
Yeah.
all it ever is you never bring in a Canadian, you never bring in a Chinese man or like, it's like, come on, can we actually have a discussion where we have a world where now every country now affects every other part of the world? Can we not have that conversation where other people are representing the other parts of the world? Like the UK, spraying particulate into the clouds to stop climate change, thinking that they're allowed to do that and the rest of the countries have no say.
Yeah.
Like, you're affecting the planet. You don't just get to go and do something that affects all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Too much of that.
Okay.
Well, we do hear about China a little bit, but it's always on a negative spin as well, or Russia as well, and those sorts of things. So we got to paint a picture that some nations are the hero nations sometimes, and it's simply not. It's simply not true.
So I just have a few questions. Can you walk us through your build, maintain, grow methodology?
Yeah, so that's build, maintain, grow. So it kind of covers each service. So the building of a website, which most of our clients come and do, but the maintain. So every website will need some level of maintenance, and things change really fast. So I learned really early on, you build a website, you design it, looks beautiful, the client's really, really happy. Within a couple of short years, they've forgotten they loved it because things move so fast. So maintaining the website and staying connected with the client so they can make minor tweaks so things don't get really dated and outside of what they want to be as a brand and a message and all those sorts of things. So the maintain thing is really important. And just to stay, that's been a real game changer to build up the maintenance side of the business because it's recurring income as well. That's great from a business standpoint, but just to stay in the corner of the client. So we're with them ready for, eventually they'll need a brand new website, more of a bigger overhaul, but just those little things that I think a lot of my competitors let those little things lapse because they're not big jobs. It might be someone needs a little something changed, just even simple things like staff turnover. Whilst they could probably log in and change the profiles themselves, they don't because they're busy. And particularly my clients in the construction game, they're not necessarily got a whole bunch of people in office with technical capability to even log in and do that sort of stuff. So just staying with them through the whole process on the main team process is really cool. What was the third one? Sorry. How did I package that up? They must be reading from a website.
Yes. Grow.
Grow. Yeah. So that's the search engine optimization, was search everywhere optimization. So, I mean, not every client takes that on. It's good for some and not others. Some clients will win all their jobs through larger tender. So they need a web presence, not so much to attract people through Google and other platforms, but just to validate they are who they say they are and they do quality work and they got case studies and you get a grasp of who they are. So not every client needs the search engine or search everywhere optimization, but it's certainly an offering that helps a lot of businesses.
I do want to emphasize that having a decent website really does give you the credibility in the industry. It's really insane that because like I could go buy a domain and create a website for anything and now I'm the expert, but it really does add credibility when somebody looks you up and can see all this information out on a website that looks decent and functions well. Just insane amount of trust given for something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's been a little bit concerned. There's less traffic going through Google to websites because you get the AI overview and everything. So the answer's right there. No one needs to visit the site if they're just researching a topic. But if they're going to buy something, and particularly if something of a sizable purchase, they're going to check you out as a company a little bit more thoroughly. So they're going to knock on your digital front door, which is your website, or they're going to go to your physical premises if you've got one. So once a purchasing decision is closer, people will still visit your website and make a assessment of who they think you are based on that. So I've had a lot of clients whose traffic has dried up quite a bit, but their sales has not through the website. So not everyone's tracking it as well as they could, but those that are tracking where their customers come from, it hasn't impacted the viability of their websites whatsoever. So, yeah.
Sorry, you hit a point there and I just forgot what I was about to say on it. Oh, I remember. So there's this concept going around that people keep on saying, we're going into an internet where you're not going to have websites. It's going to be a completely different internet. And that's kind of something I disagree with. I don't think websites and internet are really going to go anywhere. I think we'll have like a 2-tier internet system, to be honest. I think we'll still have the old internet where you can still access it through your old devices and stuff, but we'll also have like this new version of the internet that you can access on the go and when you do things. And I think they'll benefit each other. Like I think you'll have a website and then just something that notifies those users on the go if they're looking for that information. I don't think we're ever going to get away from internet as we know it, purely because people like it too much. People like just looking at things and surfing the internet. Like I remember a few years ago, or back in the early days, there was a button that just said, there's a company called Stumble Upon, and their job was literally to just give you random websites to go to.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't think they'll go away.
Yeah. That's 100% right. I mean, there's a lot of talk about training, like you train your AI to do the thing you want it to do. Well, with your website, I'm biased obviously with websites, but it's an opportunity to train someone else's AI, to train the AI in general. You're pumping out information online that can be drawn upon, and you're the company or the brand that's influencing it, and you want your brand message mentioned everywhere you possibly can. So it's good to train my AI ChatGPT will tell me wonderful things about me because it knows me and I'm talking to it directly. But once it starts telling other people how wonderful my business is, well, that's a whole new level, isn't it? So
I also think there's like a level of like, as much as I am a tech guy, I still love my computer. Like I can't switch over to this. This is nothing for me. I would rather sit at my desktop and do my work than to sit up on my couch on my phone.
yeah,
And I think there's that modality between every generation. I think everybody's got their own device and they want to. It's the interconnection between the two now that we need more of. What advice would you give other entrepreneurs looking to specialize in traditional industries?
in traditional industry, specialize in terms of like a construction companies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking to like,
I think if it depends it depends on the nature of your business. So if you're in a really small town, you can afford less to be really specialized just because you're going to run out of people who can buy the thing you're selling. But if it's something that you're not tied to the location, you can specialize even more. So we've got a bunch of building materials websites clients. So they can afford to be more specific and specialized in the precise thing that they ship because they can ship it globally in some instances, but mostly who have got might be Australian, so they can be really specific in the particular thing that they provide. But yeah, it's always. I think if you go, the key is you can target this really specific thing that you want, and you'll get other things by accident anyway. Like I was just doing a job last week. It's not my ideal client. I could have tried to turn them away so many times. They were referred to me, but they said they really wanted to work with me, and in the end, it seemed fairly interesting, and I did it, which is still cool. It's still fine to do other things because it keeps life interesting, but I'm still special. I'm still laser focused and specific on the clients I want to focus on, and some things by accident I do just because we're humans and we like to experiment with things as well. So it was an interesting one. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think people really think about it. Like they're like, I like this thing and I refuse to do anything. And it's like, sometimes you just want to have that difference, especially with programming. This is one of the things that I learned through programming is it's not always different. And sometimes when you get the different, you're so much excited to try something different. And then you go back to what it was and you're like, yeah, I could forget. Sometimes just having that taste is enough to tell you that you're in the right place.
Yeah. So with the construction, I saw on the news, even I think it might have been yesterday. So here, a big roadblock. So manufacture off site, so not building on the premises, but manufacturing and then shipping it out. We had a large challenge for homes because people couldn't get the finance for it. Just with the building finance, you could get because you get it in stages, and the banks understood what it was. So you paid down the sequence of however they structure it. It's a standard process. But medium-sized company here in Melbourne, they managed to get one of the banks here to finance their particular build process, which is building a factory. It's built much faster and therefore a better price. It doesn't look like a regular home. It's a different product, but to get good on them, I reckon. Good on them for sticking at lane and pushing the powers that be, the bank, to finance the product. I think, they're going to be the front runners in that space just because they stuck at what they were doing and they found a way to make it happen so the clients pay for the product. I think it's powerful.
I'll have to get company after this because I really want to. Canada needs the same thing. This is the problem is there's so many people who want to build their own houses, but you can't get a mortgage for a plot of land and build your own house. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many people who would do that, like hands down. And then there goes your housing crisis. But yeah, I would love to find out how they did that and see if we can replicate that here.
You've got a housing crisis as well.
Yeah. So we brought in a million immigrants over the last 5 years. We have
Yeah.
we put out 250,000 houses in the last 5 years. So just a little
Yeah.
bit of a problem. Um, and on
Yeah.
top of that, we're building more bureaucracy, fix the housing problem as opposed to just opening the free markets, getting rid of the red tape and allowing people to build.
Yeah,
So,
sounds identical to what we're experiencing. You know, political parties will promise to build XYZ amount of houses and they got no way of doing it. Like, you know, they can say whatever they like. They don't deliver the end product. And then just the cost of building has just grown out of sight. So it's become less viable and a whole bunch of things. So people like this that are breaking ground with the new methodology of building and one of the banks, and I'm sure all the other banks here will fall into line because I see all this work being done. It's pretty exciting.
yeah, I really hope it's a foreshadowing a good future more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're doing the 3D printing of houses as well, but only a few little experimental kind of ones. It seems like it's fairly early days for us. Have you guys seen that yet or doing that?
Not yet, but we're doing a lot of modular homes, so we're flying them into remote areas right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are just buying Chinese modular homes and then just flying them to the cost the same price as a house in every case.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah, I think people are doing that as well. Sometimes electrical standards or whatnot are not, you know, the right criteria. Or there was I saw someone who shipped in a bunch and the ceiling height didn't match our criteria or something. So they ran into all sorts of dramas with that. So, I mean, if you know what you're doing, but certainly there's better ways than just getting out all our houses from China. So I would think so.
Yes, I really hope we can build something. I think we have Boxable here and they're pretty decent. But yeah, I don't know where we're going. I just hope we have something better.
Yeah.
So let's end this off. I just have one last question. If you
Sure.
were starting your business today in this economy, what's the biggest lesson you'd apply from the start?
I would start by building really solid relationships with people who know stuff. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I made early on. I was just probably a little bit insecure or fearful of talking to people who had done it before. You know, like you feel like, yeah, you just, for me, I think I would just be a bit braver and go and meet the people who do business and know how things are done, all that kind of stuff. But certainly right now, you want to be thinking, how is AI going to change? Whatever industry you're in, what's the trajectory? Where are things going? How do I get on the front line of that? Because it's going to be a bunch of people, if they don't, will lose their jobs, their career paths. So I think trying to predict where's the puck moving to. You guys do ice hockey there, is it? Yeah. So I don't know. There was someone who said that to skate to where the puck's going. Do you know that phrase or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah. So you don't go where the puck is. You predict where it's going and move to that. So I think things are moving fast. Just to be on the ahead of the game is the key.
Very fair. So where can my listeners find out more about you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the website's the easiest thing, uplift360.com.au. And from there, you'll find a bunch of social links as well. So you can connect with me. I'll connect with anyone on my personal LinkedIn as well. You'll find that through the website. So just reach out, we'll connect and go from there.
Good. And any final thoughts on the construction business owners listening?
Yeah, so I mean, I think not to be fearful of where AI is going. They're probably some of them are going to be the last to lose their jobs because the robots aren't going to pick up a hammer just yet. Eventually they will, but yeah, just to hang tight with the slight downturn. There's things always turn around, and there's still lots of opportunities to grow a business in that space.
I would also emphasize that construction is probably going to be the biggest market in the next 5 years because of the amount of infrastructure that needs to be built everywhere.
Sure.
Because,
Yeah. Yeah. Population growth and all that sort of stuff. It
yeah,
sounds like there's a lot. like us, lots of immigrants to build, to grow, and that puts a lot of demand on infrastructure, as you say. So,
Well, I mean, Canada, we only have like one road going like way, like from east to west, like no roads going from north to south. So it's how are we supposed to access half our country if we don't have the infrastructure to get there? But I've been avoiding that in pretty much every episode. Thank you very much for coming on. I will make sure all of the information for you is down below in the description for anybody out there. And yeah, thank you so much. This was a
thank you.
conversation.